Kavet. You're listening to ALANUI MELE on PBS Hawaii.
Yo, this is Meso, and you're listening to ALANUI MELE on PBS Hawaii. Peace.
Listen up, this is Danny One, and you're listening to Hawaiʻi Hip-Hop History via ALANUI MELE on PBS Hawaii. Check it out.
Here we go. ALANUI MELE. Jamal.
What?
Introduction. ALANUI MELE.
ALANUI. Oh, yeah. Street.
Here we go. Introduction.
Owana, yeah.
Okay. If Kimo Kahawano had a hip-hop doppelganger, this man would be him. Very few OGs welcome in and hide new artists into the inner circle of hip-hop in the early 90s. Imagine 1,000 watts of electrical power conducted into a mongoose from Ka'alu, then put on stage with the microphone to unleash the most mind-bending and conscious lyrics. This Hawaiian icon has emceed and danced with the world-famous artists and musicians, but always making the trek back to Hawaii to help usher in the decades of new talent. The creator of the most epic and underground hip-hop events that invigorated Hawaii hip-hop in the 90s to the 2000s. He continues to bless us with his mana'o on hip-hop, but on life. The most original individual, Kilowatts the Mongoose, a.k.a. Jam Watts, Jamal Mamalias. What's up, Jamal?
How's it? Aloha,
How's it?
everybody.
How you doing?
Aloha. How you doing, Kavet?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm keeping myself well.
So let's take it back.
Okay.
Way back. All the way back. Back
far
into
back?
time. No. Not that far back. Not that far back. But let's get back. So where were you from? Where you grew up?
I grew up I was born and raised on this island, Oahu. My father had moved from Kauai to Oahu during the 1970 to come and play music in Waikiki, as well as he was a construction guy too, so he was juggling two different occupations. So I was born in Waikiki. We lived in Waikiki, but I was born in Queens Hospital, 1971.
Okay. So music was always in your blood because you'd say
So my
your dad was
and my whole family
musician.
is jazz musicians. All my brothers are professionally high-paid hotel-style musicians. My older brother Franklin is one of Hawaii's first Hawaiian soul musicians.
Nice.
And also a very, very talented solo artist.
So do you remember your first experience or taste of hip hop in Hawaii?
Yeah. I was already like 8-9 years old, which was like 1979, 1980. And I was going to St. Anne's in Kaneohe. It's a little private Catholic school. And in that school, there was a lot of people. And, people from Hawaii, we resonate with things going on in the mainland, especially when we see people that look like us on the TV, we say, wow, we got to do that too.
Yeah.
But then when you get to see them in real life and they come here. And here in Hawaii, unbeknownst, I don't care, you can do your homework on this, but we had some of the greatest locking and popping and, just dancing just for fun because it's also part of our culture.
Right.
We looked at it like we took it in. All the hip hop stuff is like, oh shit, this is part of culture. Like, and it's a funny thing that all the good popping and all the groups, the best groups that had the best routines, they all came from hula halal families.
Who are some of those families?
It's like, okay, for me, my if I had to say it, my halal, my hip hop halal was Bits and Pieces.
Okay.
Michael Rita and Frank Punamoy.
Where are those guys from?
They're from Kaneohe. Okay. And then there was Derek Bulatao, Spaz, Cut Master Spaz. He was the first turntablist who really crossed over. And his whole intention was to get into the industry. There was no such thing as underground and not yet.
Just hip hop.
Yep.
So Bits and Pieces was your first experience with hip hop?
No, not my first. Okay, so me.
So St. Anne's, at St. Anne's.
Okay, so in Kahalu and Kaneohe,
Right.
these places are like rural little towns. In some cases, they're considered like the the little plantation
Like
ghettos, back roads, you know.
Especially back in the 90s, early 80s.
No, 80s.
The 80s.
Early 80s.
Okay.
This is in 1979, 1980. And at Hawaii's luau's, we'd always have people dancing, and Waikiki is an international place.
Right.
So everything always comes in and out of here. People thought we only lived in grass huts for a long time, but little do they know, we was ahead of the times, or at least alongside with it, if not influencing it at the same time. So Waikiki, there was so much. I mean, you think about it. I mean, if you was in that whole like world, if you was living in that world at the time, you would understand that you'd see and witness like guys coming out of the water with their surfboards at Waikiki, and then guys from the mainland be on the beach with their radios blasting, and then guys would just put down their boards and with just surf shorts just start popping, bro, battling anybody, bro.
So
And
they
there would be,
picked. So they picked it up from
hundreds of people.
So how did the locals in your time pick up?
Well, you know what?
all
There's
those
a story
popping and
that
locking?
is a part of a interview that John Hino was part of.
Right. Shout out
And
to
he's
Brian.
and he can tell you. And then, you know, over here we have even Crazy Legs, they all came here like long time ago.
What year was that, you think?
Jeez, it was like I wasn't a kid, but he has an interview about it. And it's about all of the old school original OG B-boys. This is
Right.
just B-boyism.
Right.
Like the breaks. Okay? Because the popping and everything was already here, and the locking
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, you know? And people just here was just naturally creative.
So who's your early influences?
Okay. So when I was growing up, we go to family parties, and I was practicing, you know, by myself. My cousin Ross and Keaton, Macariola, Sly Mongoose, and this kid in our neighborhood named Vincent Manyachi from Kahalu. He was bad, and that's it. You can say it. That's what we said. He was bad. That's how.
Did Vincent have a hip hop name or any kind of like b-boy
just
name?
Vincent.
Just Vincent.
And then there was Little Scott.
Okay.
Dude, he's known as one of the best poppers of all time, period. He still goes around and wins popping contests around the world to this day. And he's the salsa champion, everything. Okay? But we used to go to luau's. He turns out he's my cousin. And he used to just battle people. And he was like the little guy in bits and pieces. But then me, when we got together, we was dancing, and he was like, "Whoa, I could do all the moves, you know." So he said, "Come on, we're doing routine." So we used to practice our routines at Bits and Pieces house.
Oh, nice.
And that's Mike Rita and Frank Pudamoy. Oh, and you know, during that time, Frank was already doing remix tapes. And you know who was the DJ of Kaneohe? It was Darren D, the mother freaking D.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
Gilmore
Yeah.
for RPM.
So DMFD is from Kaneohe.
RPM, yep. Rockin' Party Machine is also the brothers. That was all. And then, I don't know, the younger parts, it was like Master Chambers. And all these guys had major skills. But we're just from Hawaii. We're just doing it for fun. But it seems that, you know, this is so natural.
So you're also known as I'd say one of the best MCs in Hawaii. Most creative.
Oh, wow.
You know, you can come off the top lyrically. You know what I mean? When I first entered into the scene, I was like, oh, this guy Jamal, he got it. So when did it transition over from popping and locking, the physical exploration of expression, to MCing? Because a lot of times, if from the interviews I've been giving or been listening to or hearing, popping, locking, breaking has always been the introduction majority. But very few has moved on to DJing. And for you, MCing. So when did that come into?
Okay, so I come from a family of jazz musicians. So my dad used to listen to all the Last Poets, all that stuff was blasting, Fela Kuti, you know, and he was like a real good jazz musician. And so that kind of, and then when I discovered hip hop, I was like, it was easy to just catch on to the lyrics. And in my family, they're beautiful musicians. They can play all the beautiful, and I couldn't play all the beautiful music. I came up in the hip hop, punk rock,
Yeah, yep.
heavy metal, reggae, dub, Electro, Kraftwerk, Pac Jam, all those days. You know what I mean? And so if you look at the music now, all of that it's a spitting image of that. It's the direct spawn, but they're just rebranding it and recirculating it. You know, in a different
So what age
way.
was you like? Oh, okay.
I was
I can do this. I
Back
can
in those
write.
days, I don't know, it was weird because when we was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, we already knew how the world works already.
Yeah.
You know, so we was already trying to get out. And in Hawaii in those days, if you we used to catch bus Waikiki. And if you missed the last bus back to countryside, where you're from, you gotta stay Waikiki
4 a.m.
until 4 or 5:30, back 5 a.m. before.
So do you remember some of your first rhymes?
I am the exhibitionist of this class. I got a brassy technique to make the rockin' last. I got a IQ, and this is true. Boom, boom. Something like that. Like it was like
Nice.
8th grade, bro.
8th grade.
And we had to write all the English words. And then he said, use them in a sentence or rhymes. And I just used to use them in raps.
So who did you used to rap with? Did you have like a crew?
Me and my friend Terry Nazario.
Okay. What's his MC name?
He was just this local Hawaiian Puerto Rican guy. He eventually moved to Oregon, but he was the guy that kept me on, and he was the DJ. And in King Intermediate, bro, at this time, everybody was on popper. All the big jocks, you know what I mean? Everybody had skills, and everybody was serious about it. For some reason, everybody was serious, bro. Like, you know, they put the integrity, their time, they practice.
Put their heart into it.
Yeah. So
hitting.
Yeah, so everybody would practice, but everybody would know who the dudes was. And at that time, hands down, Little Scott and my brother Johan. So case in point, Johan and this guy Alex Suka. Okay, we're all from the crew, but there was 2 different buildings. There was a B building that was like 3 stories. And then there was another building, E building, which is 3 stories. And then there was a walkway in between. And underneath the walkway was the park place. And then Johan was on this side, and then Alex Suka was on this side. And we was blasting. This was like 45 minutes, like second lunch. Bro, and it was bro, man, the whole school was like, whoa. And for 45 minutes,
This is what school is this?
King Intermediate.
King Intermediate.
Like 1983 or something like that.
Wow.
And, you know, before that, like I said, like in the 80s when I was 5th grade, 4th grade, had guys like in Kaneohe, bro. Like the Ritas, Frank Punamoy, bro, Guy Copeland, bro, Ricky Sampson.
So this was going on in Kaneohe.
Bro, Kamaili.
But for facts, it was going on everywhere on
George
Oahu.
Santos, yep.
So did you guys ever link up with other
Santos.
people in town?
Oh, yeah. So when we see other guys in town, this was the call out. Like, if you go like this, you're like, oh, you like challenge. Boom. And then you get sample. And a lot of times in Hawaii, guys, no more radios. You know, you couldn't even afford a radio. It was like...
Where was the spots? Where was the spots that you guys used to go? Like Ala Moana? Where was the spots that was a meetup?
Anywhere. Any mall.
Yeah, okay.
Any place, any bus stop.
Right.
Any major bus stop, any park. Mostly the wall, Waikiki.
Okay.
And the zoo.
Right.
And anybody walking around by Waikiki Beach. And at that time, Ala Moana and the stage. Used to have Ala Moana stage, and it had a time during the old Ala Moana stage had a freestyle hour where like anybody could go up on stage and do something.
Okay, what year was this?
So like 1978, all the way to like 1980 something.
Freestyle hour.
Oh, try go look, bro. There's a day in like the early 80s where these poppers came and they was doing a popping like challenge in Ala Moana at the old stage. So many people showed up. The news showed up. Try go look. Pulumbamba on YouTube. Popping in Ala Moana in like early 1980s.
Is it on there? Someone put up.
I think it's, yeah. I think I don't know which news it's on, but it's on Hawaii News.
So when did the transition from popping to everybody start breaking?
And, well, see, breaking came after people was like, wow, we cannot invent anything else. You know what I mean? It kind of got monotonous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the peak kind of changed. And then when it got to the breaks, I mean, the music make you feel different.
Right.
You know what I mean? Make you move different. You needed to express something else a little bit more harder.
So who was some of the first B-boys that you met?
Because Little Scott, that guy was the best dancer, period. And then there was Little Dan, his arch popping Nemesis, which is now Big Dan, who I wanted to bring today. Sorry, brother Big Dan. And Harold, Too Swift.
Okay.
These guys, okay? And then all of the Rockin' Party Machine and Foot Rock Bunch.
Okay.
Okay, bro?
Who was in Rockin' Party Machine? You remember?
Yeah, bro. Had Chubby, Mark Capelliala, one big, humongous, Kanakamaoli. Okay, like 6'4". Okay, Boo. He did quarter rolls. He-Man with legs like trees. It was like, whoa! Hey, I promise.
And DMFD was in that crew.
You know, like how you say the way that we brought it, that's how they brought me in.
Oh, nice. So you was young boy.
I was young,
hanging with
bro.
those guys.
I was the Turtle Man, and then had Kevin Turtle Man.
Okay.
Everyone used to say, "Oh, that's like you
so
know."
What is a turtle? Explain what the turtle is.
Turtle is when you put your elbows into your gut and make your body parallel to the ground, and then you use your hands as a walking tool. And then there's different variations. You know, there's buck fours, there's turtles, there's crickets, stuff like there's polios, like. Put your hands up.
So then,
do gymnastics
did that all
moves.
lead up to one of the bigger competitions that was on TV, Breaking Hawaii? Was Breaking Hawaii kind of
we would practice all the way for him, and then last minute I had on baseball game. I was playing sports. My mom then was like,
no,
they taught breaking was a bit too street.
Okay,
And I was trying to get out of there.
So you never got to go.
To regular local battles and stuff. Right. But for that reason is because the pitching, I was the pitcher.
Oh, nice. So what did Breaking Hawaii do?
But you know what? Breaking Hawaii, everybody that was in there, look at.
Yeah.
Bro, we had it. Dude, it was ghetto paradise, bro, Hawaii. And you look at Breaking Hawaii, it was families.
Yeah.
Coming out.
Yeah, I got a story of Breaking Hawaii.
And you know what? The thing about Breaking Hawaii was the floor was too slippery. Everybody's going to tell you, the floor was too slippery. They couldn't grip try to go look their feet. Everybody was like that.
Wow. I'm
glad I never go because most of my moves was the prepping was the. You know what I mean?
I had to go to. I don't think I had I don't know if I had a TV or I missed the Breaking Away. So my mom's good friend's sons from Palolo, they recorded it on Beta Max. And we'd go all the way to Palolo to watch Breaking Hawaii, bro. That's how much it meant to me.
But you look at it. Hawaii had its own TV show network, and you know what? It had skills. And you know, a lot of people, you know how nowadays the b-boy skills kind of like went overseas to like, you go to Japan and Korea, like, whoa. You go to like Europe and you know what I mean, Russia, and you're like, whoa.
So talk about that. You talk
Italy,
about
whoa,
different places, traveling.
Yeah.
So you traveled some yourself.
So Hawaii was one of the first, in fact, the first overseas of the continent place to really master the art of the street dance, for real. You can ask anybody, you know what I mean, who really knows. You know what I mean? Like way out of, the States. Because, bro, we was on par with, we have West Coast and East Coast influences. And, you got to talk about it in that sense because that's how the landscape was at that time.
Right. But eventually you traveled to the mainland to dance. Talk about that.
And it was just an accident because I used to be just a beach boy, a wave rider, a tube rider. And one time I was at Sandy Beach, and then I saw these, tourists from Japan. They came in a little van. And it was like, hey, with a camera. And I was kind of feeling, happy that day. So I started just busting with just surf shorts, right there by the shower. And they was like, wow. And next thing you know, bro, I'm getting this call, at our house. And it's these people that, like, want me to go talk to them, meet them to go to Japan. And, I wasn't into, like, taking hip-hop to the next level at that time. I was still trying to figure it out. I was just high school, just graduating. Just everything was the beach at that time. I thought I was going to be a lifeguard or something. And then, boom, I do this video for this lady named Henri, Japanese funk star. And
you did it here or in Japan?
R&B star.
Here or Japan?
Here on the Big Island. what it was, she had a dream about going to like a island, you know. And so anyway, I was casted by this. The filmmaker's name, the video guy's name was, I think, Julian Temple or something. But he was popular at that time. He did all the police and sting videos and Sade. He was like big time in the UK, England. Anyway, I was the young Hawaiian chief, you know, fisher boy that she had a dream about. She came to Hawaii, and we kind of like, you know, had a rendezvous, whatever.
Can we find this video online?
Yeah. It's called, anyway. It's
Okay.
And I wore the cape.
Wow.
I had one of my aunties of Kauai, Auntie Kinio Kinimako, who was casting, and Amos Kotomori, them. Big ups to Amos. And the kind them, and I don't know, I was just a kid. I was like, wow, this is trip. And then on that shoot, I met Popping Taco was there because we did another video at the Hilo Sugar Mill, or the old Puna Sugar Mill, the one where the junction is.
Okay.
To get to from near K.A. I think it's the K.A. Sugar Mill, the old one. We did the video over there, and then come to find out, her whole band is like members of Rufus from Shaka Khan, like Bobby Watson, Kenny Mosley, the drummer, this guy Paris London, and then the dancers was all from L.A. Okay, Cooley Jackson, he was the dancer of Solid Gold. Robert Pirate Vincent, one of LA's most premier street, and crossed over to choreographing everybody you ever heard of, shows and videos. Robert Pirate Vincent, and one of the Crump inventors, bro. Like all those guys, man.
So they were all our dancers or band.
There was Marque Masai Wallace. Dude, he was like explosion, and the singer. And then had one guy from Hawaii, but he came from and it was Harold. It was Too Swift. And him and Eugene and Slick them was living in LA already.
Okay. That's good. I'm about to get to this. Okay.
And then all these other guys from Hawaii.
So did that make your transition to LA after that?
Okay, but first I never know that.
Okay.
So I met Harold over there in Japan already.
Oh, okay.
But when we were doing the video in Big Island, sorry, fast forwarding too fast. More slow down.
Yes. Okay, so Japan,
So-
you were dancing for this Japanese soul singer. So then, what is the transition from dancing for this singer to LA? Talk about that. I want to know about that.
Okay, so while we was on tour in LA, in Japan, and from Japan all around, just, I got to know me and Harold and all the B-boys. And then at first, Harold, I met Harold, and all of them was all hardcore into the hip-hop movement. Like, it was revolution in LA.
Yeah.
And Hawaii wasn't on that
What
level
year
yet.
was this?
This was like 1990.
Okay, yeah. But like PE
1991.
style.
Yeah,
Public
it
Enemy,
was just there was some guys trying to push it, but there was now that we see it for what it is from a distance, we can look at it, and we've been discussing it for years. You can see how the industry has taken, the art form, put a label on it, and use it as a propaganda mechanism, and that's what I see why they constantly was changing things up when things looked like it was gonna be euphoria for everybody. Come in and cut the line, everybody's line, and there's always some like kind of bureaucratic booniness that fucking gotta come and interrupt all the good, progress that we made as people, as humans. That's like what's going on, and it was also a real great way for everyone to express themselves without using violence.
Right.
It was a very, very needed and necessary. You got to go watch From Up in the Rubble, the story of the Bronx and how it went, because the New York crime. And you know what? Hawaii had the same. Hawaii followed suit, bro. You know what I mean? Well, whatever was craziest ghetto was going on, bro. Hey, Hawaii, we're the third world state.
Right.
And not even a real state. That's why we didn't get real funding after Lahaina. Because he said, nah, technically I don't have to give you guys because not a state. Okay. Check.
Okay, so you met all Harold them,
Yep.
and then when did you decide to make the trek to go live to LA?
So the whole time we was on tour, they
Yeah.
was like, they got into me. They say, Jamal. They was like, man, you know what? And then one time during sound check, they was playing rapping, right?
Yeah.
And Rob used to really dance with 242, who is the Far Side.
Okay.
Okay, Rob Party, Vincent, those guys. So they was, rhyming. And that time, who was Das Effects was big. So everyone was going diggity dada. Everyone was biting that shit and all that. So I came in, I just did my own style. And they was like, what the fuck? I said, yeah, just try to do that again. And I just was,
Yeah.
And then they were like, wow. So Harold said, yo, we have a group in L.A. called Trip the Lights, and it's Eugene. I remember Eugene from when I was a kid.
Right.
Bro, Eugene is like, he's not just a staple hip-hop. He's like Waikiki Aloha ambassador.
Yeah.
That's what we are. All of the hip-hop guys was like that.
So who's
Sure,
who's in the Trip the Lights crew?
Okay, was the founding member is Jason, me again, Slim, Van Sugars, of Venice, Ghost Town, Venice. He grew up with Riddler and Hassan, yeah. Jason is the guy that said, Jamal, you will be kilowatts.
Wow.
Yep.
That's how you got the name
Dude, he's
Kilowatts.
like one of the most, dude, he is the Jamal of LA. Yep. And he's the one who taught me how to be me.
Right,
He said, Jamal, come here. Anyway.
So who else is in the crew?
The other founder was Eugene.
Okay.
Eugene, creative lyricist,
Right.
super ill. He's one of the original DJs at Silly's. He's not known as a DJ, but he's one of the first professional DJs.
And what was
He used to
Eugene's
DJ
hip hop name?
Slow, and EUG or Huge Dog in those days. And then there's Harold. Okay, Sweet Harold was his b-boy name. Harold was the Fonzie of the hip hop scene in Hawaii. He could literally go like this, and like 10 most beautiful girls. Okay. The other guy was like the guy Vincent Magnachi too back in those days.
So majority of the crew was all from Hawaii that
And
was
Harold.
in LA now,
Yep.
except for the homie from Venice.
No, yeah, except the homie from Venice.
Yeah.
And he took us and dude, you know what? He is the most, bruh, he is Black culture, Latino culture, ghetto culture, Dogtown culture, Los Angeles. The streets of Los Angeles. He knows everybody. He's the old school punk rock, the old school like the Fishbone Crew, the Suicidal Tendency, all the Dogtown brothers, Simon them.
Yeah.
They all grew up together.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Simon. Simon is who?
Yeah. House of Flies,
House of Flies.
Black Flies, Hawaii.
Yeah. So anyway, so how did you guys hook
Sorry.
up with Slick? Because Slick did the
Hey,
logo,
Slick,
right?
But Slick was always the man. Slick, you know how people are now. Slick was like that back then. You get like a person now, an artist now, and you bring him back in a time machine to like, that's how he was.
Wow.
He was so ahead of his time. You know what I mean? And he used to win all the crazy shirts. He used to have this high school challenge. And he won all the crazy shirts, I think. And he went to, he grew up with Catch Them.
Yeah,
he went to Mid-Pac or, I don't know. That from
Aya,
what I understand.
Aya.
Afterwards. And
So
then-
Slick was in LA same time you were in LA.
Yeah, well, I was there because him, Harold, and Eugene all moved up together with another brother of ours named Alan. And then, and Sean Chavez, maybe.
And Trip the Lights was a dance crew or like a hip
No,
hop crew?
we was the dance crew. Okay, so in LA, at all the clubs in those days.
And this year was, what year was
dancing,
this?
music.
Like early 90s, 90,
venues.
91, 92.
Yeah. Hey, not just Trip the Lights, bro. There was the Scheme team.
Right. So this
There
is
was-
before Black Eyed Peas
Bro,
was Black Eyed
Abstract
Peas.
Tribe Unique.
Yeah.
But I had the Far Side. It was called 2 for 2, and that's Rob
Right.
was part of him, but he wasn't a rapper.
Okay.
And then there was like the Black Eyed Peas was called the Otbon Clan.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. So you guys are up there just
And
doing...
you know what? There was mad, and the guys who came famous too was all dancing in there.
Right.
Bro, Tupac was a groover, a dancer. Bro, exhibit them. The Far Iron and
Yeah.
all those guys.
Right.
The Liquid Foundation. They were all part of the Soul Brothers. Bro, the Mop. I mean, it was big. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just young people. It was people who were elderly too, because they represent what's going on in the soul, and they were always involved in the venues and the scene because they were like the guidelines.
Right.
And that's how it stayed on a very, like, what we used to call conscious level.
So how did Slick end up doing the logo? Remember the Trip to Lights logo?
He just did it. He just was like, boom. I mean, he can just, just.
Yeah.
That's how he did it.
And then do you remember what year you came back to Hawaii?
I came back. I was always coming back
Right.
and forth. But when I eventually, I had a reason why I came back. I was early. I was young. I got involved with this beautiful lady, and became married. But she helped me. This DJ L1, who's Lisa. You guys remember her?
Yep.
Yeah. She was instrumental in helping us have successful promotions. Yeah.
So
She's a big industry club DJ in the States now.
that was 95? 95?
94-ish, 95-ish.
95. So since you were in LA experiencing all this hip hop, like you're right in the thick of things, moving back to Hawaii, and you came to Hawaii, what was your take?
The whole world, as far as we was concerned, at that time, everywhere we went, every major city, every little town, everybody was underground. Everybody was pounding out. Bro, there was good dancers, there was good artists, there was good DJs. People was all hanging out at, records, like a record stores, like a library.
Right,
And just listening to, and you had such a really high population, big population of people that had a lot of information, and the discussions were on a higher level for young kids at that time. And some of the older people was like, wow, these guys are like talking languages, having discussions. And that was the peak of it. Like, we were talking about things that really mattered, you know what I mean, at a young age.
Right. So when you came back, you started doing events. But before we do that, I met you, I think it was 95
Yeah.
at KTUH. Do you remember KTUH? And it was the Soul
No, but I saw
69.
you before already.
But Soul 69. You're at Soul 69, and everybody was there. You,
Yeah.
DMFD was there,
Oh.
Min was there, Asia was there, Drama was there, Sub was there,
Yep.
Size, and that's my first
Size
first
one.
experience of meeting, like, I could say, like,
High State,
Hawaii's hip hop.
EQ.
Yeah.
Malala got married.
So explain to us KTUH in those days, the radio in those days. What were you doing there at Soul 69?
I just got dragged over there. I remember Prude. Remember, he had his show. Itaro had his show. You had the show.
No, this is before me.
Yeah. Who else had a show over there? There was Brother Derek.
Yeah, Derek.
Brother Derek.
It was Derek. It was Derek had his show, and Itaro and Size had a show. Those were the
and
two
that was
holding it
my
down for hip hop.
three. Yeah, they were really,
then Prude.
really, and Prude. Yeah.
So it was Prude
And you know who else too?
Derek,
And then
and Soul 69.
Owl Jenkins too with sneaking stuff.
Oh yeah. So,
Owl Jenkins, big respect.
so those are the
big props
three
to him.
shows, and that's where I met you. With
And the
DMFD.
DJs like Culchi them.
Yeah.
The reggae DJs would sneak in, and that time in the 90s, it was the dancehall hip hop that was really banging,
Yeah, and on that night that I met you back in the 90s,
Yeah.
you took me and Kapuni, EP, rest in peace.
Oh, brother.
You took us to Valentino's. Explain to us.
Okay, so when I came home, I was like, hey, you know what? It's time to get Hawaii up to date. Because it's not like Hawaii has ever been so late. It's just the way when we finally come up, then people go, oh, shit. Everybody turned it in last week. But it's not like we was working on it, Same time, but. And so I was like, heck this.
Yeah.
We're going to find the spots. I'm going to get all the artists over here, and we're going to bring them up to par. And, I sacrificed. But you know what? I already knew, like, how the industry is. It is really the way that, the so-called truthers say that is. I was there. I was right there. That's the reason why I rejected it.
So what was Valentino's then? That was one of your first events.
Yep.
Explain to us, what was the concept behind that event? And who
Um,
DJ'd? Who was there that you remember?
Oh,
Who's
man.
Who's the DJs
DJ
for
Man.
Valentino's?
Asia 1, Felix, my brothers, Size 1, Manifest, Jeff Hartzell, okay? Hey, Sub-Zero, Jerry, okay? T-Bone, okay?
Yep.
DJ Fame,
Right.
Chris Cam, okay? Who's the one who moved to New York?
Min.
No, the one from Nocturnal Sound Crew.
No, Nocturnal wasn't. at
No, but
Valentino's.
you know the oldest one.
The oldest one, not Jay, Jammy,
No, the other one, the one that was the older elder brother to them.
elder brother to Nocturnal. Oh, you got me
So
stumped
much
too.
people. You got me stumped.
Maybe Compose. Compose will let us know.
Compose.
Well, Compose wasn't DJing.
But you know what? He
Valentino's.
was there.
Oh, okay, he's there.
Okay, and he was already, and Aaron Sakai was there.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Jeez. EQ.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else was there? Gonzalez, Positive Regime,
Yeah,
Vince.
yeah. Vince.
Okay, Drama was there.
Yeah.
Bruh.
But it was
Monty was there. Danny Wanzer was there.
So that event though was my
Dude,
first
everybody was there, bro.
my first experience into Hawaiʻi hip hop.
And then we had the live band, which is that's
Right.
where the Triads, that's where Fungus, the
Right.
Bastards
Okay.
was members of Tantrum Monsters,
Oh, okay.
and which was members of Mug.
Okay.
But when they transitioned to Bastards, which Amos was the drummer,
Name is Zolo.
Cam was the fucking bass player,
Right.
Warren was in his part time, and Ran Kunimura. Okay, and then there was also some kids and cats from other, and then I forget who else, and then Fungus was a funk band,
Right.
and Breaking Hawaii was hosted by a man named Kamasami Kong,
Okay.
who was a radio
Right.
DJ
Yeah.
back in the day. His daughter, Nani Kong, or Nani Six, or Nani Sax as we called her,
Right.
was the singer on,
Wow.
on the Fungus. Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
So she was our homegirl. Yep. And then Triads, which was the the real kind of house band, and it was the hip hop jazz. At that time, acid jazz was still real big.
Right,
In
right.
fact, we brought out Mark Farina
Okay.
to there.
Mushroom Jazz.
Yep,
Yeah.
like 1995. When
Wow.
virtually nobody, only people ever heard of him was people who went to the record store.
Yeah.
And that's the way beginning of Ohm is Mushroom Jazz time.
So speaking of bands, real quick, since we're on that topic,
The Brown Fellinis in San Francisco. Ooh.
you had a band and you were the MC for it called Quadraphonics.
Yeah, and that was the Triads and the Fungus.
Explain to us who was in that band and how did they get formed?
So Sister Susan, much wrestling
Livicated,
love.
Yep.
She was like the beautiful young Hawaiian sister. Couldn't miss her with her big, huge afro. Manhandling a humongous double bass. Like a big 6'4" foot Hawaiian rugby player or something.
Yeah.
But it's boom, 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 boom. Oh,
So he was-
Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan.
And then who was
Jonathan
there?
played what?
Jonathan was on the drums,
Okay.
and Ray was on the sax.
Right.
Okay. Eli was on percussion all the
Right,
time.
right. Shout out to Eli.
And at that time, Shri wasn't there yet. It was the Triads because it was Raymond on the sax, Susan on the drum, and then Jonathan drums,
Yeah.
and then all the MCs. But of course, because I was the host, I would always
So
Conducted
officially,
MC.
they started just through organically playing together,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
someone actually
And
like
then
Jonathan?
that's why I started learning my runs, how to play in the jazz music
Right, right.
live, because I always played by myself. And then finally was starting to get how to play my dad's music.
Yeah.
My dad, and I show my dad, and he'd be like, he was really like.
So how would you
super
if you had to explain to somebody what kind of music that Quadraphonics made?
Yeah, we played break beats. Jonathan, the drummer, is an OG b-boy in Miami who
Wow.
grew up in the hood next to freaking Two Life Crew. He went to house block parties, 2 Life, Luke Skywalker being the DJ. That's how far back he goes in the b-boy section. And then he's also a rocker and an artist altogether. And then, Susan she's just like golden child. She
Yeah.
existed and it was beautiful. Everything happened. And then when we transitioned to they were called the Triads.
Okay.
We moved to Havana Cabana,
Okay.
and Shri got in the band, and Eli was a staple. It became Quadraphonics,
Wow.
Kilowatts.
So Quadraphonics pretty much was
then
birthed through
and
Havana
Jonathan
Cabana.
was my partner at Jonathan, me, and Tino, and Shri, and Brett too.
Right.
But mostly me and Jonathan and Tino was
Can you so
the situation.
you got one of the classic quadraphonic verses that I put out on Anna Loves Digi, I think, one of the Light Sleepers releases. I think it was I Will Not Step Back. Remember that
I will
lyric?
not step back.
Can you spit something
So-
for us real quick on that one?
Yeah, so that was a track. You know, that was a live recording
Right.
at this underground club, and it was real, like 3:00 in the morning. It wasn't Treehouse. I think it was in San Francisco or someplace. And then, you know, Jonathan would always plug in and record. And Susan had her bowl, and we used to go to Victorian parties in San Francisco. They connect all the Victorians together. You can walk in. It's like a big maze, like in this big, huge, giant maze, and everyone's walking around. And Victorians are big and multi-story, so you can get lost. Like, so we had a room, and we was setting up, and we was recording, and she had her bowl, and she just played this really dark. And it was like, whoa. It was just a check.
Okay.
Okay? We was just checking the fucking sound. And Jonathan plays this like this fucking skippy beat. And I just went in and was like, I'm flowing for free, so I feel I've learned I'm a bastard born to be burned. And everybody just be quieted. And so I was like, oh shit. It's turning in from a sound check to a, and it's all filled with like all kind of, you know, it's 2:30 a.m. kind of people, you know. It's the Bay. I'm thinking this was at the Bay.
Okay.
Or some kind of like after our, and it was like, and you know, completed it. And at the end, it was a big bravo. And from that, I think he gave the, some of the copies of that tune to like guys like you, Malosi, and and I think Jake Wormhole had a version of it too.
Okay.
To me it was all off the top. It's grimy. It wasn't meant to be like the hip hop club song of the year. It was just a art piece.
So it was a
and I was
complete
rhyming. Yeah,
it was a complete art piece. Because
and I was thinking, and if you get that song and put it to what's happening in Lahaina, it's spot on.
So why don't you bless us and spit some of those lyrics?
I love everybody from Lahaina. I love you so much. All the people in Hawaii, all the people that are dealing with it, that I know that are from the Middle East. And, you know, a lot of our hip-hop brothers that we have here in Hawaii that are also from the, like, Brother Lefi, Brother Bo, you know, I mean, they're feeling it, you know, and they know that's why, you know, you come to the hip-hop vibe, it's like the refuge from all that, because if you want to see how, go watch the battle with Disaster versus the other guy, the Jewish brother.
Yeah.
And they're, like, discussing, you know, the thing in a real battle mode in most intellectual heaviness. And at the end, they're like, you know what I mean? That's how it should be conducted.
Right.
That's how the dispute should be handled.
Right.
All this, you know, I'm saying that these elitists are just having a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, Jamal, spit us the lyrics.
Oh, yeah. Well, for what song?
The one with quadraphonics.
Oh, boom, boom, boom. I look down to see who keeps a deeper mind. So whenever I'm falling, I'm only voluntarily stalling. These cemented elements often seem to make me wonder how much harder I must bust just to even rip it. What? No pens or pencils, I'm gifted, especially when we uplifted. In super cipher circles, I'm an elevation elevator with a mighty machine acrobat that rips it just like that. This is a matter of fact and not an overreact. I agree, I disagree of certain rappers' raps, but since we all are different, I stop acting like that. Hip-hop's definition could be expression more than straps and those gats that hold us back. So I shan't step back. And I can hear Susan in the background like that. And then everyone's just like tripping. You know, of course, and you know, those the days when I was in a stage of my life, I was drinking a lot of mushroom tea. There were some times that I had to I couldn't do the show because I had to be like, oh, excuse me. I was on tour. But people thought it was part of the show because we were funny.
But that came strictly on the whim, strictly free.
Yeah, it was all flow. And then I had to listen to it over and over to remember it.
Right.
And it was clear. It wasn't meant to be cadenced, you know, and all like, pop, like, oh, let me hear it. This is the brand new shit. And like, No, it was what it was.
So
And
the
it was even used for like some crazy nuts movie in
Wow.
like, you know, for independent film kind.
Yeah.
For like some dark stuff. Like crazy stuff. I haven't even seen it or heard it, but you
So
know.
from Havana Cabana, let's talk about some of the events you did, because you've created and opened the doors and allowed a lot of us guys, younger cats, to step to the stage, to get the microphone, to learn about the not technically the industry, but just hip hop in general. You opened those doors. Like I've always said, Jamal is that guy. So Abstract Weekly from Havana Cabana, great event.
Yeah.
And then you went and did Liquid Surf then.
Okay,
in
so,
Pucks Alley.
okay, wait. I want to, before I go on, you asked me earlier about like some of the first events.
Yes.
Well, in Hawaii, Valentino's, but in LA, we was throwing events. Me and Harold, and then we'd team up with V-Love from the Soul Brothers, and we had a place called Max at Cahuenga and Yucca in Hollywood.
Okay.
And at that time, Delicious Vinyl and those guys was doing all the circuit. And one time, Boogaloo Buzz, Uncle Buzz,
Oh, nice.
came up and did a show for Delicious Vinyl and Brass.
Oh, brass.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
in the same department together, you know. They were working together. And then he performed with this dancehall cat named Red Fox.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, Jason.
Did you know Buzz back then?
Yeah.
And you were
'Cause
surprised that he
yeah.
was there?
Yeah, of course. And he repped it hard.
Right.
All off the top. And me and Eugene and Harold was there and Jason. And Jason was kind of tripping because he was now experiencing like, damn, these dudes just coming off of the island and shit. And they got, you know,
yeah.
we got all this like talent and we're on par, you know, because we said, yeah, we had integrity for it from the beginning.
I think, back in those days, we were all hungry. So we were taking what we could get from the mainland, which is maybe through
Plus, we were also watching MTV,
Yeah.
right? And we was battling whoever was on TV and bad.
Right.
Fuck, I'll kill him. And, you know what I mean? And we were a complete package.
Yeah.
Like, we could do everything with showmanship.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if Harold them come from Bomb Squad or the Jam City Rockers.
Right.
Or Funky Floor, the Funky Floor Lords. Jeez. Bomb Squad, okay?
Yep.
Dude, they always won. Okay? I came from Bits and Pieces crew and Little Scott. They
Right.
always won.
Yeah.
Okay? And everybody kind of always won. Everyone was dope, bro. Nobody was whack. Everybody, Mechanical Masters, everybody.
Yeah.
There was draws all the time because everybody just came with it. But then when they started getting to breaking, a lot of guys was already getting old.
Yeah.
It was like, that's only for kids. You
Wow.
know what I mean? And they didn't understand it as a rebel expression yet. But there was a few people who did. You know what I mean?
Who are those people?
Whoever's around now still yet.
Skilroy?
Skill Roy, the number one B-boy of Hawaii, the old Supreme G. Number two, of course. Number one and number two is Too Swift, of course, too. You know? And Scotty Boy, Little Scott, at any given moment.
Right.
Yeah?
Bus.
Yep. And I'm talking about the old Supreme OGs who still bust hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Leonard always got to be in there somehow. You know what I mean?
Well, let's take it back. Let's take it back to events, because you had so many iconic events. I want to make sure we cover that before we get into like your thought about the future of Hawaiian hip hop. But Capital Fat. Speak on Capital Fat at Liquid Surf Den in Pucks Alley.
So Capital Fat. At that time, we moved to Kapahulu into the Go Bananas building
Upstairs.
Guess who in the 80s? Guess who? You know where the Go Bananas kayak shop is?
Yep.
Guess who owned that and ran that as a music and comic book store? Johnny J. Jam.
Wow.
The Santiago.
Wow.
That was his and so that whole building has mad history about, in this subculture.
Right.
And I didn't find that out until recently. Yep.
So then what pushed you to get the event at Liquids? Who introduced you to Liquids is such a
because Dennis, the owner, he was really cool, and he used to come to watch us.
Okay.
He used to actually come from, and then Walter was already rapping with us, and I knew, and we used to have he's Ire,
Walter was known as
High Chief Saole, High Chief XL Saole.
yes, rest in peace.
Yes, rest in the most highest love.
So he started rapping with you, and he was also the guy at the door.
Yep.
So
there was the doorman, like all Usos are. They can
Right.
work the door, but he was a special.
oh
He was so he blessed the mic. It was like, what?
yeah,
You never expect a guy like that to just come off like that. You know what I mean?
but you never expect a
He was like-
Samoan bouncer. First of all,
Yeah, and he had his own thing
to,
going on.
to be so in tune
Yeah.
with hip hop, like
Yeah.
real.
Well, he's from Mare
hip-hop.
Rights, but he was one who sensed what else these elements and building and developing yourself can do.
Oh yeah,
You know,
He was at
we
a-
looked at it like a spiritual thing. It
Yeah.
was all about being conscious.
Right.
Remember, the vibe. It was more than just what you look like, how you're flossing. That was the element that was always in the front page of it.
but you know what's dope about High
What?
Chief was back then. Being the backpack hip hop head. I mean, Oliver Twist can speak on this too
Yeah.
because he was only in
He
middle
was
school,
right there.
and
He used to
and Walter
he used
would
to
let him
escape.
in.
He used to escape his house. Hey, he used to like sneak out of the house.
Yeah.
Eugene used to do this too. In fact, we all did this. Sneak out of the house
Yeah.
to go to the
To
club.
go to the club.
when we were like 13, 14 years old.
But Walter would let us all in.
Yeah.
After
Well-
you introduced me to him.
Well, you know why? Because Dennis had a section. He already
Right.
knew already.
Yeah.
And he set it up. And we had Big Dave and we had Walter and we had the
Shout out
best
Big Dave.
crew, you know.
Aiga.
Yeah. And then
But that was a great event because that's where you bought down AC Alone.
Okay, so everybody at that time, they needed to get blessed from like what real. And at that time, Cypress came down. Hey, my first big show was the Ice Cube show at Pink's Garage.
Wow.
And that bill was like Trans,
Shout out MC Trans.
Homegrown Massive, Lyrical Buzz, Danny One,
Danny won.
Jam. Bro, it had Doc Rock
Wow.
and his crew, Hector them.
What was Doc Rock's crew?
I forgot, but it had Ace, the human beatbox.
Wow.
He was
You guys
known
are all
as
opening acts for
Hawaii's
Ice Cube.
legendary beatboxer.
All the
bro.
opening acts for Ice Cube were
Yep.
you guys. It was all local guys.
And T's, Big T's,
Shout out to Big T's.
Urban Joint.
Urban Joint. Yeah.
Bro, we heard of them when we was living in LA.
Wow. Yeah.
We heard of Humanakas when we was living in LA.
No ways.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. See, people was paying attention, bro. You know, we used to see when the clubs is not clubs. I try not to say clubs because it's more like it was. Now I see it was a music venue.
Right.
It was a temple of sound for real. For those that could see beneath the veil of, you know, worldly things and material happenings, because there was always like this surgence of correct energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of venues, so you turned a cigar bar, Havana Cabana, into a hip hop event.
Yep.
You turned Liquid Surf Day, which was like a surf club,
Yep.
into a hip hop.
Well, you know, I had to.
venue.
Okay, so Bumblebee used to have plants, and Lucas used to have plants from the set, and Bumblebee would come early, drop off plants, boom, 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 go back home, get ready. Lucas would bring plants, and we had plants in there, and we set them up like a jungle.
Yeah,
The nickname of Capital Fat was the Tropical Jungle,
Jungle
Bungalow. Okay. G-Spot, Stone
Yeah.
Groove family had a big.
Shout out
G-Spot
to
helped
Stone
me a
Groove.
lot, you know.
Oh, G-Spot helped me a lot
G-Spot is
too.
one of my OGs, bro, from like in the 80s,
Right, right.
in the East Side.
But then wait, so you made a surf day into a hip hop like iconic
Because
spot.
what we had to do is go in at 4:00 p.m. And this is Monday, so we're working around people watching the game.
Right.
So they have the screens, and we're in the DJ corner, and I had to rearrange the stage, make it look like a whole different venue.
Right.
And then my trick, watch, everybody gonna bite my trick. But that's all right, because it needs to be done. My trick was during the time when the music is on, all mainstream TV off. I put in videos and films like Baraka, Kanye Kwatsil, you know what I mean? All those kind of Kwatsi, Kanyana Kwatsi, the same filmmakers, stuff like that. So people got listening to music and coinciding with visual things. And I used to put stuff like, I was really a hardcore outer space guy, but now I know it's like, it's film, but hey, it's got a lot of great imaginative and ideas,
But that imagination pulled you into making a thing like Big City Diner, which is not known for anything,
wait.
into Roots Juice.
Okay, so I was also really close with Go Jimmy Go and those brothers, okay? And they were like, Jamal, man, hey, we're playing at Go Jimmy Go. Could talk to the guy, man. Maybe we can do something. And then I went inside, and I knew the guy Robert. He's a guy from Kamehameha.
Okay.
He was running it for Lane.
Right.
Lane just got out of work.
This is Big City Diner, Big City Diner in Kaimaki, right?
And all the biggest hotels. And he said, nah, just like make one local stuff. And I was so resonating with his story.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So what's his name? Cam ended up, not Cam, but what's his name? Ended up Anthony or Tony Cam. Ended up doing the flyer for me. Mike ended up doing the flyer, the first one and Josh, Tino, all of the 7 Encounter crew and the Microscopic Syllables. Culchi was there. They all had a hand. And Mike, the GM, brother Mike, he's from Lelehua or Mililani.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, Joe Moore. And he was the guy. And we would close it down after the last kitchen was going. We changed the light bulbs, changed the curtain, and rearranged the furniture and make it look like a house party.
Yeah. It was dope.
Yeah. And then I would keep the little bar open.
Yeah.
Because they had a proper bar open until 2 a.m., but they wasn't doing anything with it.
Okay.
That's what I would say. You guys can continue selling merch. And, like I said before, there was always the upper layer of things, worldly things happening, but there was always an under layer of the real reason people was attending.
Yeah, that was amazing to have, first of all, Big City Diner, Kaimaki, and he had the dopest open mic, the dopest DJs, the dopest performances. I mean, atmosphere.
Bro, one time
was at
the second Big City Diner.
Big City Diner Roots
Guess
Juice.
who comes in?
Who's that?
Jamin Wong.
Wow.
On the drums, bro. He came in, played on set. That's when people came in. Guess whose first performance in public happened over there?
Whose?
Ukla the Mock.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Shout out to Ukla.
We forget Ross Bird, boy.
Oh, nice. Oh, with Ross Bird.
Yep.
So that's crazy. The fact
days.
that, I mean, to me, that was a groundbreaking on all levels.
Bro, that's when Seth just totally rose up as a MC. Was Havana Cabana days.
Yeah.
Tino Kili'i from Dreaded Youth and the Unit 101 Punk Squad.
But another thing I want to credit you with is creating events, especially with Hisham and Treehouse, where it wasn't just music.
Okay, brother Hisham, Hisham is staple.
Right.
By the way, I just came from Big Island, meanest place in Wawa.
Oh, Hisham's up in...
Oh,
nice.
He says his Egyptianness is flipping the Hawaiians. It's like, you must stay here.
No,
brother.
but okay, back on track real quick.
Okay. So Hisham, I tell you Hisham is.
Okay.
He's the main photographer. You know the How Can I Be Down that used to happen in Miami?
Yeah.
And he's the main photographer for all the main dance hall guys.
Right.
For the Wu-Tang book, Papa Wu, when Wu came here in the 90s and they hung out with us. And bro, when they did the big melee and ODB, rest in love, to all these people that we...
Yeah, Hisham was a huge...
We was in the...
big photographer for all the big melees.
One-on-one with my brother.
All the shows.
I mean? Yes,
but when Hisham opened his studio, you guys too did an event that I'd never seen nobody do and was copied to this day. I took those reins from you guys.
Which one?
Was Hisham's event, but it was different from everybody. No, it was because you integrated music and art. And the first, I consider you guys the first to integrate music and art and make it a big venue.
When we used to live in LA now. Okay, my grandpa is one of the founders of the LA Arts Tar Museum. You know the Tar Arts Museum?
Right.
My grandpa is one of the groundbreaking artists that helped create that place. My grandpa Harry. Okay, now check this out, boo. I would go to places in LA and Frisco and stuff like that, and was at these plush places with artists, and they would have DJs and MCs. And it wasn't a club.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It was a place, it was a meeting of the minds. And then we used to say, well, you know, the way we can make money off these meeting of the minds is to have these events in an establishment that has merchandise or drinks and food, whatever. So it got into the clubs. But then you could always tell the difference between a real hip-hop club and just a regular bar club. Just the way it feels, like when you walk in already. The way that the DJs threw down the music. I mean, you know, you need for people who work hard during the week, you need a place to go and just do whatever, shake it off and sweat it out. That's cool. But then there were people who were really into the music. And the way the industry was going back in those days anyway, that's why the independent music movement became large. And the mixtapes is actually the culprit making mixtapes. Everyone figured out how to be their own independent distributor and beat music
what made you guys
music
was it from the
produce
influence of LA, or
culture.
you and Hisham decided, hey, you know what,
Oh, Hisham.
we should have rooms.
Well, I met Hisham.
We should have rooms with art. We should have live art.
Well, I met Hisham from Simon them, the House of Flies brothers, and
Shout out to
Sherry them and Cully. And he was the main,
Cully.
he was like a photographer for Thrasher magazine. Right. He was a photographer for all the like Elle and Cosmopolitan and, you know, and all the black culture and the Native American culture magazines, bro.
Yeah.
And he came to Hawaii and he was like, what? And he just, boom, he got stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he tried to go away, but he just came right back over here. So now he's in Hawaii of all places. And you know what? Hey, and then when we were doing things, it was Taharba's first.
Okay.
Tree
Shout out
House.
to Taharba. Yeah.
Taharba House is trademark, hallmark. But I talk about, I used to go to things in the 80s that you would trip out existed.
Right.
What? Stuff like this, like similar. Like everywhere. In the cities. Kauai too. Big Island, Maui. You trip out like where you just... And at that time, you thought everybody was doing it.
Right.
You didn't know better. There was no like kind of margins to compare it with, you know.
Real quick, off, like you said, not off subject, but a little quick bunny trail. Tell us a story about how you're one of the original members of Natural Vibes.
Oh, bro.
Tell us real quick, the roots.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in those days, like I said, remember when I told you I was at the beach
Kalu?
breaking? Yeah, remember I told you I was at the
90s.
Sandy's. I was doing some breaking for the tourists. At that time, in fact, that very day, probably I was with our cousin Cole, our older cousin. Me, Romy, Anthony, Paele. Oh, praise for... I got prayers and good shout-outs to Carolyn, Carolina, and my brother Dane. And for anybody else who's suffering with pain or any kind of... When you're going through a healing process, got you in our great thoughts. Okay, so speaking of which, and then there was my brother Romy and Keone and Roman, Uncle Junior, Nevalu. Bro, when we started in Natural, it was like 12, 13 people, or anybody who showed up that had rhythm and could hold
Showed up to where?
To the shack in our house at Kahalu'u. Well, the Moikeha and Makari Olahale on the corner of Kahikili, Ahuimanu, and Okana Road. So we're three major intersections. Yeah, one is the Old Country Road, the other is the main highway, and the other one is the road to Mauka, to Melekula. So anyway, we was like hardcore. We was rapping, and my Anthony Paele, Anthony Charles, he's like the best dancehall artist that never came out of Hawaii. Okay, the real thing. And my brother Romy, he's the real soft, cool, charismatic, and he had like a real nice suave style. And then I was also MC, you know. And then we'd have the other set where and then when Penny came, we had also all the songs that he sang. We had a full garment of all kind of stuff going on in it. And then I got the job to go to Japan, so I was like disbanded.
Right.
And then we went on surf trips a lot, you know, go to other islands. So sometimes Romy and Anthony would get stuck in on a different island, and Cohen, Wayne, and Penny them, and everybody in the band, Shane, Abraham, Keone, they all made this. If you guys don't show up to practice, you guys cannot be in a group.
Like on football
because everybody
team.
show up.
Right.
Yeah, because
When they're
everybody
like-
show up for the show. Because
Right.
we could show up and just pop,
scatter,
off
yeah.
the top. But, they wanted to.
Right.
And it was a good idea because, see what happens.
Yeah.
They became successful.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you
So
see
anyway-
that? Could you predict that or foresee that?
I already knew.
Yeah.
Penny was a great singer to begin with. He used to sing at Monterey Bay Canners before then with this band called Pacific Blue. And there were like all these guys and, he was all around island brother. And you kind of got to already be like, okay, so another thing about the culture I was going to tell you, you couldn't just be somebody come in, wear the clothes, and start doing moves. Like, you had to already have a position.
Right.
And, people could tell. It was the people's choice, period. Always, all the time.
But one thing you're good
They
at
would let
is allowing people to find their position.
Yeah, because
And-
that's how it was. I was open arms. As soon as I started, I didn't realize how easy I got everything,
Right.
basically. I didn't realize, and with that came a sense of, when I learned afterwards, I have to have patience. Because through that patience, I never taught nobody nothing. Like I always said, I just help you realize what you already know.
Yeah.
And then everything else on top of that just follows.
So speaking of that, the future of hip hop, right? Let's talk about Hawaii real quick. What would be your thoughts? What you think is why nobody has broken that shell that we've always been stuck right under?
Okay,
nobody has
check it out.
technically made it to the next level in Hawaii.
Because
from Hawaii.
basically, the industry kind of nudges us out a little bit. It's not like they couldn't figure out. When we were Trip the Lights, we were known as like the Asian group. Or like, we're always like of course, we would be typecasting the black culture and the Latino culture, native, But we wanted to be a universal culture. And a lot of the people, but we were stigmatized. But at that time, the industry was just pushing the stuff that was just, like you heard about all the stuff that happened at certain music, ceremony, award shows, all the craziness. And the underground was totally anti that whole thing.
Right.
It was like, we used to cap on that.
Yeah.
Be like, like really. Like studio gangsters would come to ciphers and they would get chopped up, sliced.
Yeah.
We can slide to the side.
So you think there's a technically an agenda, like what against
Yeah, of
Hawaii?
course.
Against Hawaii?
Well, Hawaii is like it's like almost just like Pakalolo. They really couldn't figure out how to tax it yet, make money off of it. And until now, they recently found out how to figure it out. So that's why we're coming up now. But before then, they really didn't know how to cubbyhole it.
So right now, you feel like the industry doesn't know how they
And plus,
can control
Yeah.
the artists coming out of Hawaii?
I think also, too, it's also because Hawaii also had a special feeling. And the way that we perceived it and also in everything. Like Hawaii's hardcore, the punk rock bands. We have the best history in that. We have the unrealist history in the reggae.
Yep.
With Macho, Rasanando. You know what I mean? Eyes of Blue. Guys like that, you know what I mean? The version. Bro, so much things going on, bro.
So off the top of your dome, who are some of your favorite or best MCs from Hawaii?
Bro, everybody that I ever blessed on mic with. If you're a real hip hop head, you don't have a favorite MC. Normies have, I listen to my favorite rapper is this. Real hip hop heads know that at any given moment, any MC could be their favorite. Because when you listen to somebody and you're resonating with what one MC is saying, when you're listening to it, you're like, whoa, you rewind it again, and you listen, and it could be any MC from anywhere.
Definitely.
From any mixtape that you can think of. When you're really like on that level, where at any given moment, that dude is your favorite based on, you know what I mean? And you're not just looking at criteria, judgment, call, you know what I mean? Hey, those dudes can never, ever hang in a real... It's like, remember, we used to chop everybody up, bro. I used to watch Bro, LA Cool and
that.
Project Blow
I
just
missed that.
chop guys up, bro. Micah 9 them, AC alone them, bro. And you know, those guys, when I saw the Good Life, I knew like what I was, wow, I'm not a weirdo. You know, there's a whole freaking everybody like that, you know what I mean? And Jason is the one. Jason, the guy he's the one that taught me how to just, and I was like, whoa. And then I became brothers with Hekola and Jekko and the Booyah tribe. Yeah, bro, they was repping for us, bro. We was always cubby holding them, you know what I mean? Because we was the island boys. We didn't have the mentality like, now I can look at it and say, hey, you know, in the East Coast, you got the Caribbean. On the West Coast, you get Hawaii. You get all the Pacific Islands, Philippines. We're the East Indies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So to wrap things up, give us a jewel, a gem, something from Jamal's treasure chest for everybody. Leave us with something.
Okay, yeah, hey, I'm telling you, only we can do it together. For real. Bless up. Peace.
Thank you, Jamal. Jamal, Kilowatts, Mongoose, Jam Watts. Alanui Mele. We out.
Mahalo for listening to Alanui Mele on PBS Hawaii. Introduction beat by Just One O. You can listen to Alanui Mele on all streaming platforms and check us on social media at PBS Hawaii or www.pbshawaii.org.